Wonderful, wonderful, wonderful. Before you use Dr. Benson's Yoka Top Leaders International, I'm happy to share with you again in this line of counseling psychology and biblical counseling or Christian counseling, as others call it. I would like to start by simply defining what I mean by counseling psychology. What is it all about? I want to submit to you this morning that counseling psychology is a form of applied psychology, especially in areas of dealing with personal issues, corporate issues, and anything dealing with persons. It's very important to understand that in counseling psychology, we are looking at the value basis of this practice. We are looking at the ethical basis of relationships in life that could help deal with the problems on the physical level as we engage in the community. Again, in counseling psychology, we are looking at the subjective experience, feelings, and meanings. Why am I calling it subjective experiences? Because these experiences are unique to different persons. They are not common to all of us because every individual responds uniquely in any given environment or situation or experience. They are subjective. We're also looking at the empathic engagement of the psychologist with the world of the client. You see, when I talk about empathic engagement, I simply mean a situation whereby the counseling psychologist put himself or herself in the shoes of the client that consult him or her on these issues of counseling and try to understand the scenario and to understand what brought the problem and what can be done with that problem or to deal with that problem in an empathic way, not sympathetic way, but empathetic way. Yes, that means putting yourself in the shoes of the client. Again, it has to do with the acceptance of the subjective world of the client. When we talk about accepting the subjective world of the client, what exactly do we mean? It simply means that we see that word of our client as meaningful and valid in helping us to understand the situation of the client, in helping us to understand the magnitude of the challenge or the problem that has confronted our client in counseling psychology. Again, when we're dealing with counseling psychology, we're seeing the need to negotiate between different perceptions and worldviews without assuming objectively discoverable truth in court. Now, when we talk about this idea of counseling psychology, we're talking about that engagement, either on one-on-one or one-two group or whatever you call it, whereby there's that interaction and working hard to have the right perception of a situation, because unless you diagnose it well as a counseling psychologist, you may not give any help. And if you give something, you may find if you're not very careful, then you create an emergency out of a problem of a smaller magnitude. So that means that there must be a conscientious effort to understand the perception in the problem. Yes, the perception in the client world, the world view, all the assumptions involved, so that now with these interactions, you're able to study this and then give some valid persuasions, some valid recommendations into the dealing with the issues at hand. Again, in counseling psychology, we're looking at the qualitative description of experience. Okay, that when you talk about experience, what makes it? When you talk about experience, how do we pull out the veracity, the truthfulness contained in the experience to aid us in solving the problem? In counseling psychology also, we're looking at the development of insight and the increased capacity for choice, because every client has a choice to make. Because that's why in counseling psychology, we're not making choices. We're not deciding for these people. We are assisting them to wrestle. Yes, we are assisting them to wrestle with whatever I try to wrestle with them. We are giving them that helping hand to show them that we are there for them and to assist them as they deal with the problem. Also, it has to do with the primacy in practice in general knowledge, the knowledge to help problem solution, so that that can be able to cementalize or strengthen the client and come out of these problems in a better way. So counseling psychology is needed. I said in an earlier broadcast, we are physical beings as much as spiritual beings. So counseling psychology is vital. I mean, you cannot oversay it. It's so critical. We need to be well versed in it, just as we are well versed in biblical counseling, so that we can help the whole person, not lopsided treatment of the challenges. Otherwise, that is the definition for now. Be giving you more in this area of counseling psychology. I want to encourage you to continue viewing and share this, my broadcast, with as many as you can. And thank you so much for taking your time to get this learning. Otherwise, keep our thank you. I'm your host always, Dr. Mbezo Nsioka from Top Leaders International. Good morning. Wonderful.